thanks everybody for coming here. And couple of things. There are, right here, a free package for everybody. It's got a really important document. I hope you'll read it. It's called Herbal Terrorism. And it's basically a bit of a reiteration of what I'm going to tell you in the next half hour, I hope. Please bear with me. It should be entertaining. And you must read that pamphlet. It articulates, I think, in the most effective way how we can eliminate the marijuana prohibition within 24 months quite effectively. I see some of you are wearing the buttons, so we should be, you're already... Read it. And if you don't like the high times that's in there, that's a banned publication, please feel free to trade it with others here. And I didn't know what the kind of weather would be, so actually all the books that are for sale are still for sale. We have lots of them, but they're at our other shop right across the street, the Mystic Bookshop, but they don't go on sale until after I finish speaking, so it's the price you have to pay. You have to listen to me before they go on sale. Okay. The big question is, this is a rally for the largest minority in Canada. 4,700,000 adult Canadians have admitted to Statistics Canada and other organizations that they have smoked marijuana. Regular users of marijuana number 1,300,000 Canadians. Okay. Now that's bigger than any religious denomination. It's bigger than any ethnic group. It's bigger than any visible, invisible, identifiable minority. You are the largest minority in this country, and you don't have one single politician representing you. You have no political party willing to stand up for your rights. In fact, you are the largest, most vilified, discriminated against group in this entire country. Your rights can be taken away at whim. If you are convicted of possession of one of the world's best, oldest known plants, the cannabis sativa plant, known for thousands of years, for hundreds of uses by millions of enlightened people throughout the world, if you get a conviction with that, you cannot travel abroad. And believe me, I'm really concerned about that. If you need marijuana to save your eyesight, as a number of people in London do who have glaucoma, who know that marijuana is the only thing that restores their eyesight, you can't get it legally. If you get a conviction for marijuana, you risk, as a London teacher is risking right now, losing your job for the mere cultivation of the world's finest plant, bar none, and we'll get to that. In other words, in my opinion, marijuana smokers are the best people in the world, and you should congratulate yourself right now for being amongst the elite of Canadians. After all, you could be boozers, you could be deadheads on Valium, you could be smoking tobacco, you could be doing a lot of French fries, which will give you a heart attack. You could be pumping yourself full of carbohydrates. You could be doing any number of things, all of which are harmful and all of which are legal. But instead, you've chosen, by your support here, I trust, to support and enjoy the best plant this planet has to offer, bar none. And I'm going to get to that, because I believe marijuana can save the world. And I don't use that just as a slogan. Marijuana can save the world. It will save the world, because sooner or later, as they're discovering in China and Hungary, where marijuana is being legalized in incremental steps, that marijuana is going to save economies, save medicine, save patients, save the jails from being filled with decent citizens whose only crime is that they chose something the state disagrees with. But then there's more. What people don't understand is that marijuana is a lifestyle. It's not just something you happen to pick up and smoke. I bet most of you here really enjoy heavy metal music and reggae music, which I think is a predominant interest of people who smoke marijuana. I think if you smoke marijuana, you have a really keen interest in the arts, poetry, Jim Morrison. I think you listen to if I list authors, William Blake, Aldous Huxley, William Burroughs, Hunter S. Thompson, Ken Kesey. I mean, you know the authors, you know the people that write. That's our lifestyle we're talking about. The music you listen to, from Led Zeppelin, reggae music, Black Uhuru, Bob Marley. That's our lifestyle, people. When they put you in jail, they're putting you in jail for your lifestyle, for who you are. Now, if you were all black people here, if you were all black people and there were laws that said you as a black person can't play your Motown music or can't play Duke Ellington or Louis Armstrong, both of whom incidentally smoked marijuana and were convicted from it, as was Billie Holiday. If you were black and told you couldn't exercise your blackness, then we would think we were living in a police state. If you were all homosexuals and you couldn't go to gay bars, or you couldn't have a gay magazine, like we cannot have High Times, which is illegal in this country, as are all literature about marijuana, about our lifestyle, about who we are and what we are, it's all illegal. I mean, the word is illegal. You can't even wear this T-shirt legally if they want to enforce the law. This T-shirt violates Section 462.2 of the Criminal Code, which says you are not allowed to distribute, sell, or promote, encourage, or advocate any illicit drug on any printed matter or video, including T-shirts. So just standing here wearing this is a crime. Advocacy of what we believe in is a crime. The use of the substance that has no downside is a crime. And marijuana is not just one of the safest plants in the world, but it encompasses almost everything we do in our lives. Most of you, if you smoke marijuana, it's an integral part of your life. An organic part of your life, too. And, you know, I think of the movies that have been made, the books, the paintings, the poetry, it's all part of thing, and you are involved. You are the victims of a war. You know, they say there's a war on drugs, but it's not a war on drugs. It's a war against Canadians whose lifestyle differs from the anal retentive, Valium-popping, boozing zombies that people elect to government. Yeah. That's what it's all about. And aren't they pricks? I mean, when it gets down to it, too, we're in front of the police department headquarters, and their motto is to serve and protect. Well, what I want to know is who are they serving, and who are they protecting by enforcing the drug laws? This week alone, a teacher had his home invaded, and now he's suspended. He can't work anymore. Heck, I don't think there's a teacher in this city that hasn't gotten high when they were teenagers. What bullshit that is. I mean, every teacher teaching today was a student at Berkeley or somewhere in the 60s or was in high school. Come on, what kind of hypocrisy is that? That's ridiculous. It's a persecution of lifestyle once again. And if I get profane, well, this requires a bit of profanity. I mean, geez, we've been decent long enough. There's been a war against Canadians whose lifestyle contradicts the government, and the war has been on you for 25 years, and because we're marijuana smokers, we're decent, we're passive, we believe in contemplation, introspection, we don't like confrontation as a rule. Marijuana smokers are get-along kind of people. They're live and let live kind of people. I mean, we would never do to tobacco smokers and alcohol drinkers and prescription poppers and caffeine addicts what those people do to us. Isn't that a terrible hypocrisy? We are persecuted because of our benevolence and our good-natured. That's really disgusting that we let other people take advantage of us. And it's time that ended. It's time that ended. You can't let that go on anymore. 4.7 million Canadians can't all be wrong. Come on, can they?
No.
So, now we know. I want you to take a moment to think, you are good people. There is no downside to marijuana. You know, I actually go to debates all the time, they say, well, you'll lose your sex drive. Like, that's your business. Jesus Christ. I mean, bullshit. You know, I know. Well, you can always tell they're the people that never smoked, eh? I mean, you can tell they never took a toke. And, because that's the first thing you notice, incidentally. And I won't be ashamed to admit that. Sex is incredible when you're high. So, and but...
Right on.
It's true, but, you know, this society hates sex as well. I mean, you can't walk down the street, watch a TV show without thinking that if you have sex, you're going to explode. You know? It's bad enough that there's disease and AIDS and all these things they tell you on TV and you'll get pregnant and everything else. This whole society is in a big conspiracy to punish anybody who believes in pleasure. It can be anything. You look at it, everything about pleasure is punished in this society by the people who simply don't agree with you. Oh, officer, maybe you can answer a question. You know, you were put here to protect us. So who protects us from you?
Can we just make sure that the people can get in our front doors, guys?
All
right. Side entrance is open for wheelchairs.
I think that's an important question to ask a cop. He's got our money in his pocket. He makes a living putting people like us away. And all his associates in the vice squad, they make money putting us away. Now what kind of public servants is that? I think really that some cops should go home with their head in shame at the end of the day for what they do. Right on, absolutely. And you know it's true. I've been to a cop's place. He's got over 50 hash pipes from his work in the vice squad. Isn't that amazing? 50 hash pipes he recovered over 15 years in narcotics division. And you know, it's funny. Cops always have the best porn and the best pot. You know? And you always wonder where that, you know, stray evidence went. But, however, it's my belief that marijuana people are really great people, and yet you are on your own. You've got a whole culture out there that you must defend, and you have no one out there but yourselves to defend you. No politician is ever going to defend you. You know why? Because you make the most convenient scapegoats in the history of political scapegoating. I mean, they can blame you for everything. Whenever there's a rise in crime, it's drugs! It's the drug wars! We need more money for the drug wars to put away all you people because you're causing crime. So then they don't have to justify it. You know, when the, you know, Let's face it, you know, when they want to point to somebody who's not like them, they point to you. And they blame you for everything. So no politicians are going to help you out. No political party is going to help you out. No political party. So here's what I'm recommending you do. The first thing you must all do, I'm going to turn this up. I want the whole city to hear this, is you must take all your marijuana seeds you get this year. You must take all of them. And you must plant them everywhere. Everywhere. You must plant them in the public parks, Victoria Park, Springbank Park. You must plant them around, you must plant them all around the city. You must especially plant them in here, in the police department thing. Plant them, make them spray that with so much insecticide, nothing will ever grow in there. We're getting to that. But there's more to this plant. If you plant marijuana, in forests, around the city, McKelway, natural environment, if you plant them within 2 years, they will spread hundreds and hundreds of wild marijuana plants, which will be impossible. The strategy here is, folks, keep the police run ragged. Plant marijuana seeds everywhere, so we have hundreds of thousands of plants. They'll need 50 helicopters a day. They'll need hundreds of extra cops. They will run ragged, and they will tell the politicians this is futile. That's what they're going to tell them, because crime will continue. Real crime will go up while they chase down the world's most fascinating and valuable plant. Crime will go up while they waste our money chasing down what we want to get high. And don't ever feel ashamed about getting high. Getting high is great. And we know it's great. Not only is getting high great, but it offers you a perspective on the world that I think everybody should get high. You know, one of the things I want to do, if I ever got rich enough, I wanted to buy enough pot, roll enough joints, and give every single mailbox in town a joint. Because after a person smokes a joint, they will never criticize marijuana again. Because they will become perceptive to things they don't normally see. They will look at music in a way they've never looked before. They will study art, poetry, books, literature, even television, garbage box that it is. They will read it and see it like never before. And they will realize that they've been missing something very good all their life, and they'll feel bad about this. So we plant marijuana everywhere. And not just to get high. I'm going to get to everything that marijuana can do. But there's a better thing. You know, we can get rid of the drug war. It'll all be over in 2 years if you plant marijuana everywhere, but especially in the backyards and front yards and flower gardens of people like Tom Gosnell, Jack Burkhardt. Imagine! And then, 6 weeks after you plant seeds in Tom Hawken or Joe Fontana's backyards, call the cops on them! Absolutely fucking right. Do not hesitate to call the cops on these guys. Let's see how they like it. Oh, so Mr. Fontana, I'm from the Free Press, and somebody sent us some photos of your gardening project in your backyard. Oh, by the way, I think the people in the London Police Department want to talk to you as well. We'll see what they think about that. If you plant seeds in all our opponents, there is nothing they can do, because like us, they will be helpless. Only they'll suffer. And after all, who should suffer from these stupid, insane, punitive laws except them? So exactly that's what you do. You you can find the names of every person on city council in your phone book. Joe Fontana. And you know what? I would go one step further. We're going to get to more tactics you can use. There's hundreds of things like this. I would say plant them in the backyard of judges who convict people in drug court. I would plant them in the vice squad cops. You know a cop that lives next door? Tell everybody about it. Why should they be spared from the humiliation and persecution they put to us? That's suggestion number one. You must plant marijuana everywhere. That cannot be under stress. That is the most fundamental way to win this war, this insane war on Canadians whose lifestyle differs. It's a marijuana lifestyle. Let's face it, we're not drug users, we're marijuana believers.
Yeah! Yeah!
Everybody else is a drug user. Listen, I got a store downtown. Every Saturday night there's 10 cruisers down there hauling in UWO idiots who have boozed themselves into oblivion and then started fights. You know, I've had my store vandalized the last 4 times. 3 out of 4 times a guy put a woman's head through one of my windows after they were both drinking all night. I've never seen a pot smoker in court for doing any damage. I've never seen a pot smoker in court for hitting his wife. I've never seen a pot smoker in court for date rape. I've never seen a pot smoker in court for any kind of violent crime. You'll see boozers. You'll see boozers, you'll see prescription drug addicts, you'll see people who are just plain old violent. Those are the people who could use a good toke.
Yeah.
Calm them right down.
Yeah.
They should be prescribed that sort of stuff. So So tactic number 1, plant marijuana everywhere. Now we're going to get to more tactics because there's some real good stuff too. But I want to talk about what if marijuana didn't exist today? And someone from Dow Chemical or DuPont or one of our over-subsidized research labs in university, what if some guy came out tomorrow and it was in the free press? Imagine this, just imagine this. He just found a cure for glaucoma. He just found something that can alleviate the harmful symptoms of cancer chemotherapy, of emphysema, of ileitis, of Crohn's disease. It's a miracle drug. It's a miracle drug. That's what he's found. He's found a miracle drug, and it can cure everything. It can solve 25 diseases. And then he finds not only does it cure glaucoma, back spasms, various internal disorders, but you can make paper out of it. What if this guy at DuPont had found that he could make paper out of it too, and that to grow it only took 6 months, and you didn't need any chemicals to even bleach it into paper, and you didn't need any pesticides to keep it from growing? And what if it could also be used for rope? And what if it could be used for fuel? You could burn this stuff without any real pollution, and it was completely renewable. Or what if you could smash the seeds down and make the world's strongest concentration of protein? That could solve starvation all over the world. This guy DuPont, he'd be thinking, wow, this is unbelievable. But then he found there's more. There's more. He could make rope out of it, fuel out of it. It could replace the depleting ozone layer. It gives us all sorts of valuable properties. This drug, this thing he invented, it could do so much. You know what? They give him the Nobel Prize. They put him in Times Man of the Year. But no, it's only been around 1,000 years, so it takes us... We're too stupid to figure that the miracle cure is right here already! Only, sometimes I get cynical. And I begin to wonder, geez, what would it really take for people to actually grow up and start acting like tolerant, respectful adults in this country? I mean, how long does Canada have to be a nation of assholes? When it gets down to it, that's what we've got. We are being put in jail because we believe in the miracle drug that there's proof for. It's not a theory. The evidence is there. The government, in most cases, has done all the studies. They even know all this. So why, oh why, are we being persecuted? Why do we put this beautiful thing, this wonderful plant that grows out of the earth, and it grows everywhere in the earth? It doesn't just grow like cotton. I mean, if we want to save Ontario, and goodness knows we do, if we want to save Ontario, we must grow hemp all across Ontario because it can make the very clothing I'm wearing, as a matter of fact. It can make Levi's jeans were originally, for 22 years, made from hemp. Marijuana fiber made Levi jeans. And the jeans had lasted about 20 years. Cotton jeans by Levi's last 4 years on average. Levi's jeans, the first 2 drafts of the Declaration of Independence were on hemp. Thomas Jefferson grew hemp. George Washington grew hemp. Hemp grew around Middlesex County legally until 1935. It was grown here for the seed value of its protein. It was fed to animals. It was the cheapest, most effective way of feeding animals. It could feed human beings too. It can be made into cakes, resins. It can be used as motor oil. Marijuana is infinite in what it can do, and every single part of the plant is used. And without insecticides, without chemical processing, it can replace the petrochemical industry, which pollutes so much if it need be. We don't even have a pulp and paper industry in Ontario. We could finally have one. We don't have any cotton in Ontario. We're not the climate for it. We could have a textile industry that we grow here with marijuana. Of all the places in Canada and in North America, hemp, marijuana, cannabis sativa can save Ontario more than anybody else because we need it here. Look at the family farms. What do they say? You see the ads on every night? Dairy farmers, we're losing them every day. They're going broke. And they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars telling us that we got to buy their milk. Let's let them grow marijuana. They'll all be rich.
Yeah.
Well, there's more of that. Look at all the clothing distributors. They're closing down. Clothing manufacturers closing down. Let them grow. Let them process marijuana. They'll stay in business. Better clothing, heavier clothing made for the Canadian condition. You know, there's about 10 to 20,000 people in Ontario that have glaucoma. That's an incurable eye disease where you can no longer see and the pressure can be unbearable. A lot of people go through expensive and painful surgery to deal with it. You know, I met a young woman. I don't know if she's here. She goes to Saunders Secondary School. She has glaucoma. Very few young people have glaucoma as a rule. Mostly it's the elderly, which is a real problem because the elderly don't know how to marijuana. And after all, even if they can, who can afford $250 an ounce anyway? I can't.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And another way, you can thank the politicians for that. You want to keep money in Ontario, you want to stop cross-border shopping, legalize marijuana! Billions and billions of dollars goes to the United States, to Jamaica. I don't want to begrudge Jamaica, they need the money too, but millions and millions of dollars, I bet every week, leave this country to pay for marijuana we could grow here, except we live in a police state. And it's no joke to say you live in a police state. You know, if you were a black, you might think, well, I don't live in a police state. Nobody's putting me in jail because I'm black. And if you were homosexual, you might say, well, they were 10 years ago, but they're not today. But you're a marijuana believer. You're a marijuana advocate. And you are an enemy of the government. And you can be put in jail whenever they feel like it. Even for wearing this T-shirt, I could be put in jail. For selling you the books we're going to sell you afterwards, I could be put in jail. You don't have freedom of speech here. You don't have freedom of lifestyle. If you don't have those freedoms, you live in a police state. That's the way it is. So, we've already decided that if somebody invented marijuana tomorrow, they'd get the Nobel Prize. And I think that's a pretty safe bet when you think about it. But I was talking about glaucoma, and please excuse me if I stray. But this woman was in hospital. She's had 11 operations, and I hope she's here and waves her hand somewhere, Suzanne from Saunders. And a beautiful young woman of 19, she's had 11 operations. The last one, they actually put needles in her eye. Now try and imagine that. That's going to be extraordinarily painful. Needles in her eye, and her vision kept getting worse. Your tax dollars spent really $50,000 to $100,000 on a series of operations for her. Her boyfriend came up and snuck her a joint one night. I hope her parents aren't listening, though. I don't want to get her into trouble. But they snuck her a joint, and for the first time in about 5 years, she could see out of that eye. Within hours. Within hours. We are talking a miracle cure. I'm not talking... And this is not the Jerry Falwell miracle cure of TV evangelism. We're talking real medically provable stuff here. But like most 19-year-olds, where's she going to get $250 an ounce that might last her a month? Marijuana should be $2 an ounce. Maybe not even that. We should be growing it in every backyard. We can spin it. If you don't want to smoke it, you can make clothes out of it. It's easy to spin. It's easy to make into homespun. That's what they did here. That's how our pioneers made their paper. That's how they made their clothing when they came to this continent hundreds of years ago, after they killed all the Indians, after they destroyed all the native people. They figured, gee, we robbed them of a great continent. There's this marijuana growing everywhere. Let's spin it into fiber. So after we annihilated an indigenous culture, we at least were creative. And even that's been taken away from us. I actually have a list of things I want to say. I hope nobody's getting bored. Is anybody bored? No! I've always wanted to stand in front of the police department and just tell them to stick it up their ass for a long time. Now, in fairness to them, they are letting me do this without harassment, so I'll give them a modicum of thanks for that. But that doesn't make up for 34 years of abuse. And, you know, allow me a 30-second tangent. I know you will. You know, people say the police basically serve and protect. That's not true. You know, my whole life, I've been robbed maybe 20 times, my house broken into 4 times, beaten up. The police never caught a single person that ever did any of that. You know, I've caught a lot more people for the police than they've ever caught for me, I'll tell you. My story, I must have caught 30 or 4 people that broke into houses the night before by seizing their stuff and wrestling them down and taking pictures. You know, I've been a good citizen. And I don't get any respect from the police department. You know, they harass you for opening your store on Sunday. They harass you if you teach your kids at home. They harass you if you smoke pot. You know, I think really the police act as one of the biggest sinkholes for good money that I could imagine. You know, they want more budget money to deal with crime. Most of the crime is right there. They are the crime. The criminals are the police department because they do not protect us from genuine harm. They're not serving us as though they are in fact our servants, which is the theory, but not the practice. They suck up our money, which we pay in outrageous taxes, probably the highest taxes in the world anymore. They take all our money and then they fuck us over. That's basically what it's all about. And there's no polite way of saying that. That's a lovely banner. I love that one. Okay, let's get back to the issue at hand. You know, a lot of us when we get high, when I get high, I must tell you, I work about 12 hours a day. You don't always see me in my store, but I work a long day. By the time the kids are upstairs in bed, it's like 10 or 11 o'clock at night before I can have a toke. Right? So if the police are going to bust me, that's the time. It's 10 or 11! So it's 10 or 11 o'clock at night when I finally have a toke, and what do I have to see on the TV? You're a fuckhead because you take drugs. You know, and they show you, and I thought, Jesus Christ, it's bad. I can't escape. I cannot escape in my own country. I can't even go in my own home, and they are preaching. That's another one that I gotta say, fuck you to that. I mean, that's bullshit. 4 or 5 commercials every hour on every channel saying, if you do drugs, you're dumb. Right? Like I caused the recession, like I caused high taxes, like I caused this problem, right? And they're calling me an idiot. With my money, I thought, I live in the twilight zone 24 hours a day in this country. We pay to be raped over in our taxes. So anyway, but those commercials, if you look at them, that not only are they insulting, can you imagine having a black, saying, you're only good for basketball. This is a commercial for a black man. You can only play basketball. That's all you're ever going to play. You're going to be a basketball player. Either that, or, you'll be a prostitute or something like that. Or homosexuals. Are you limp-wristed? Do you mince down the street? Well, correct yourself. You're living a fool's dream, right? I mean, we go... Somebody should be killed for that, right? I mean, that's what you'd think. You think we can't permit that. Imagine if there were advertisements even against Christians, say, now there's a worthy subject, if you ask me. Oh, Christians, you're a bunch of Bible-thumping zealots who wouldn't know a fact if it bit you on the ass. How long would that advertisement last on TV? But no, for the last 20 years, 4.7 million Canadians can be insulted any night or any day. You are a moron because you smoke marijuana. Or inevitably, it leads to heroin. I love that argument. Let me just tell you about that. People say marijuana leads to harder things. Yeah, take that analogy further. It's like caffeine leads to heroin, right? I mean, it's a drug. What, if you get penicillin or something, next thing you know, you're putting morphine. I gotta have it. I mean, every argument that you ever hear against marijuana is so transparent. You should stand there and go, do you really believe that? I mean, every ad on television is factually bankrupt, isn't it? I mean, do you ever see a factually correct ad from the government? Well, about anything, really. No. I mean, when it gets down to it, they're all lies, but I really am offended about the lies that call me a dickhead, because I'm sitting at home having a toke in the peaceful privacy of my own home. They're using my money to call me a dickhead, and I'm supposed to go, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it must be true. So, another reason you will never, ever have politicians defend you, even though you are amongst the biggest minority, is because they need you to blame for everything. Drugs causes problems at work. That's why productivity is down. Oh. Drugs causes crime. I mean, the fact is, if we legalize marijuana, every problem they perceive would be solved. If we legalize marijuana tomorrow, I bet we could cut alcohol consumption in half, which would be a great thing. But, can't have that. Guess who one of the biggest employers in the city is? Bella Bats, yep. Founding fathers. Talk about drugs. I mean, this country, this city was founded on drugs. Labatt's is the biggest drug producer of this whole province. You're not going to see more murders committed on any other kind of drug than Labatt's beer. And let them sue me for slander. I can prove this. Let the vice president come down and say, our beer doesn't hurt anybody. No. Let's go down to court and see how many wives are being beaten because guys got pissed up and couldn't control themselves. Let's see how many people get into car accidents on pot or booze. And you'll see it's 10,000 to none. Let's see how much domestic violence. Let's see how many teachers get attacked by kids who smoked a joint. I doubt it. Yeah, that's the one time the kid's going, hey, I like what you're saying, man. Hell, a lot of us only survived school because we were high. The government's had a war on you for 25 years. You must take the war back to them. And that means you must picket. The people who prosecute marijuana offenses are lawyers. And they're lawyers in private practice. And what you must do is picket their law offices. These are 4 well-known lawyers in town who prosecute you. They are involved in putting you and your friends and family in jail. Now, if you knew a law firm that defended Klansmen who lynched black people, would you take your business to that law firm? Would you? No! If you knew a law firm that refuse to hire homosexuals, or for that matter, persecuted homosexuals, will you go to that law firm?
No!
Right, so do not go to law firms where lawyers who prosecute marijuana offenses work. And that would include this guy especially, Mark Handelman, that weasel who ran for border control. He prosecutes marijuana users like you.
Fuck him.
That's right, and he's at 174 King Street, downtown. You've got to organize, you've got to picket his office with signs that say, no money for blood, no money for weasels who put good people away. And you've got to make sure everybody in his law firm knows it, and they will end this bullshit. Especially William W. Russell Monteith. He has a law office at 140 Fullerton Street, Suite 204. It's a big law firm. This guy specializes, if you ask me, in putting marijuana users away. You must boycott his firm, and you must picket his office. I mean regularly. I mean diligently. Absolutely. Picket. Find out where they live. You can find that. That's common knowledge. Picket his house. Listen, it works for the fundamentalists, those idiots. Let's use their tactic. Let's make the neighbors say, gee, it's too bad we've got a lawyer on the block. Absolutely right. I mean, it's amazing that people let lawyers live on their block anyway. This is a better reason to get rid of them. Another one, J.H. McNair. His law office is at 400 Queens Avenue. Boycott his. It's all in this one. Read Herbal Terrorism. This is a great little booklet. I wrote it, so it's okay, what can I say? But it's really handy stuff. J.J. Eberhardt. His office is Eberhardt and Morden, Gainsborough and Hyde Park Road. A lot of cars that drive by would see you if you picketed that guy. And there's more. Drug court is every Tuesday, and you should picket and make disruptions in the courtroom. Absolutely. Go into the drug court and say, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
This is a police state kangaroo court, Red Star Chamber. These are innocent Canadians, and this is bullshit. And we've got to close those courts down.
Right now.
Man, you know what, too? This would be just for fun. This is just good old fun. Most of these anal retentive judges, everyone who's convicted me is a member of this club, boy. Every big lawyer, every major judge that works is a member of London's rich, old, white, geriatric, anal retentive, soon to die, but rich in the meantime, London Club. Every establishment prick is a member of the London Club. The London Club's at 177 Queens Avenue. You should picket that place just on principle. But, notwithstanding that, the president of the London Club, incidentally, they boasted recently they were deciding after 110 years they were going to let women become members. Whoa! And these are your judges. They're thinking, hey, 125 years after Confederation, maybe we should let women in, too. I wonder if there are any blacks as a member. Like, we know the answer to that one. And these guys are judges. Jeffrey Flynn, who actually is, I just appealed to on my 2 Live Crew case, so I just throw that option out there. But anyway, he's president of the London Club. He's a judge. The judge who originally convicted me on the 2 Live Crew, Judge Menzies, he's a member of the London Club. You know where these guys are at. If they're just letting women in, who can expect them to have any appreciation for marijuana use or 2 Live Crew or freedom of speech or anything? They're Neanderthals. Picket the London Club.
How many here has been committed?
All right, now, there's more. You should do all that, but you should wear T-shirts. You should wear stuff like this, and you don't even have to buy them. I want, everybody should buy this stuff. Wholesale it, to give it to your friends, distribute it. Wear T-shirts, badges, crests. The button I gave you, marijuana can say there. Wear that at all times. Encourage anybody to talk to you about marijuana. Tell them how great it is. Tell them about The Emperor Wears No Clothes. Buy the book. Wholesale cost. You don't have to get these things from me. Just get them and give them out. Spread the word. Most people do not have any opposition to marijuana. They only know what the government tells them on advertisements late at night. Okay? Most people have never seen a marijuana user do anything harmful. Maybe they sit at home and watch TV too long, but then so do a lot of people. I mean, what's that supposed to mean? That's the worst criticism I hear. Or pot users, they just sit at home and be lethargic. Yeah, like no one else does that. That's a reason to put us away for 7 years. Fly a marijuana flag from your apartment window or house. And this is really important, too. This is really important. Is make sure when you find someone who needs marijuana for medical reasons that you give them out free, okay? Like, come on, if somebody's got glaucoma, find the stuff for them, make a donation. These people need it as a matter of survival. You know, one thing I do hate about this thing, yeah, I can turn that down a bit, Mike, is that unfortunately, because it's illegal, you meet a lot of rip-off dealers. You know, like, I don't know about you, but $250 an ounce, like, that's painful. You know, and a lot of dealers, and this is a crack at all you dealers out there who are generally kind of heroic individuals to take on this sort of thing. I mean, we have to get it from somebody, that's great. But I've gotten a lot of bags that were like a little too short of that ounce. And, you know, I've got a lot of bags in my time that had a lot too many seeds in it. I mean, which is great, but you can buy seeds a lot cheaper than $250 an ounce. I bought bags of pot that had a little too much moisture for weight in, you know. I mean, come on, you dealers. We are your clients, you know. Just because it's illegal doesn't mean we can be treated like dirt. So let's see a little more integrity in the sales until it is legal. But of course, that's one of the reasons why it should be legal, because we should be paying $2 an ounce, and we should know what we're getting, like we do at any other store. It should be labeled. We should have some idea, or grow our own, of course, which is the best solution. Keep the business out of it, preferably. Can you imagine? Don't ever advocate, too, that we make it legal so that big tobacco companies can switch from tobacco to pot, because then it'll have 60 addictive ingredients in it, like tobacco does. You know, they actually add tar and nicotine to make you really hooked. You know, you can get additive-free tobacco, and it's a lot better for you. I mean, tobacco isn't nearly as bad as it is until all the big multinationals get hold of it, courtesy of the government, and add that 60 different additives. I mean, you got to wonder, 60, how many could they put in there? I mean, that's a serious problem. So, anybody who's got Crohn's disease, old people, a lot of old people have glaucoma, offer them a joint, see what happens, you know? I mean, they don't know how to go find it. Really, old people, if they want pot for even recreational use or medicine, they can't go crawl in the streets. I mean, I'm even too old to go to schoolyards, for Christ's sake. I mean, yeah, that's what always killed me. They said, our kids have it in the high school, and I thought, hold on, I make a living. I can afford it. My kids get an allowance of like $5 a week. How do they afford it?
Yeah.
I mean, why, if there's money to be made, why are people in schoolyards, for goodness sake? Come to my store, I'll buy it. I mean, come on. I never bought that stuff. Our kids are taking crack. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, school's so dull I can believe it, but economically, it doesn't wash. You know, hold rallies like this. Heck, there should be a vigil out here every day. Every fucking day. Every day until we get rid of this fascist bit of legislation that's put over, you know, over 1 million people around the world are in jail because of marijuana alone. 1 million people on this planet are slaves in dungeons, shitty, filthy dungeons, because we believe in the world's great